Coming up, do you find yourself struggling to be motivated? Like you don't feel like doing a damn thing. I ain't going to work. I ain't going to the gym. I for sure ain't cooking no meals. Bump date night. Forget my kids. They'll figure it out. I know they in kindergarten, but they grown enough to know how to get home. They got those BMW feet. They be straight. Do you feel like you're not really motivated or energized to go after your goals or go after your dreams? If so, I understand. I've been there more than I would hope. Now, I could give you a Denzel level monologue, right? And motivate you. I can come to you and say, okay, you got to go to the gym. Okay. All right. You don't want to go to the gym. You don't want to make your meals. You don't want to pick up your kids. Okay. All right. I see what we got going on here. Now, I could do that. Or I could offer this up to you. What if you seeking motivation is the very reason you're stuck right now? More on that on the Third Quarter Podcast. Welcome to the Third Quarter Podcast. I'm your host, Ace, and I am very, very excited. Before we get into all that, can I get something off my chest real quick? I know I'm coming in hot early, but I got to get this off my chest. If you ever catch me on social media, on this podcast, in person, ever saying super excited, please drop kick me, okay? If there is one thing that I am tired of people saying, is super excited. You ain't that excited for that, okay? I'm super excited. What's up, y'all? I am super excited. Hey, everybody, I am super excited. No, you're not. You're excited, okay? You're happy. You're ecstatic. Can we stop putting super in front of everything as if that just, I just had to say it. Someone had to say it, okay? Now that we got that out there, I would love it if you're still here. If you haven't yet, to subscribe to the podcast, that would mean a lot. And also, if you can leave a review, the reviews do more and help more than you know. It allows people that are finding us for the first time to see what you guys think and if this is something that's worth their time listening to, and also helps the algorithm to be like, yo, like a lot of people are talking about this. A lot of people are liking it. Let's put this on the front so people can see it. So it helps us out. And also, when you're listening to this episode, I want you to try to have your mind, your heart, and your spirit open for who do you know that could use this podcast as you're listening to it. And if someone or people come to mind, if you can share it, that'll be great, because you never know who could use this at this very moment. So without further ado, let's get into today's pod where we're talking all things motivation. Motivation. So as you can probably tell from the intro, the angle that I'm coming at for this episode is, in my opinion, motivation, or the need for motivation, is overrated to the point where I think it can be very detrimental to your progress. It can be very detrimental to your growth. And then it can also be very detrimental to your happiness and your joy. And the reason why I say that is because from my personal experience, right, and also working with hundreds of people in fitness and coaching and things like that, is motivation is it's an extrinsic transfer of energy from one person to the next, or one moment to the next, right? So I can give you a motivational talk right now, and I can light you up and I can fire you up to make you run through a wall, right? So we see it in movies, and Denzel's delivering a speech in Remember the Titans, or Al Pacino's delivering a speech in Any Given Sunday, and it's pumping up the team, right? That's motivation. I'm taking energy that's stored within me and I'm packaging it and delivering it in a way that it gets through to you that shifts and changes your current state, right? So motivation is an extrinsic transfer of energy from one person that shifts the state of another, okay? The downside is that it is an emotional transfer of energy. It's an emotion. It's a moment in time. It's not permanent. It's not something that's long lasting. It comes and goes, which is why often a lot of people are always seeking it because it's always fleeing away. Another example would be, you're at a basketball game and the home team, let's say, you're a Golden State Warriors fan and 3 seconds left in the game and Steph Curry heaves a half-court shot at the buzzer and wins the game, right? You and the other 40,000 people are going to go insane. And that moment is going to extrinsically transfer energy to you for you to be excited and ecstatic and yell and scream in that moment that everybody's going to go crazy to the point when you guys leave, everybody's going crazy and nuts and cheering and shouting. When you guys leave the arena, you're outside walking to your car, everyone's going crazy. You get to your car, you're texting and calling everybody. Did you see that? Did you see that? That was crazy. I was there. I lost my voice. Like going crazy, right? The next day you go to work, everyone's talking about it. But as days go on, the feeling and the emotion isn't as strong because you're getting further away from that moment. Motivation is a temporary, extrinsic transfer of emotion. It is not something that you want to rely on every single day because it's not always going to be there. And I think we live in a time right now where there's a lot of motivational speakers. There's a lot of, coaches and people that are trying to motivate and encourage people, which is great. I'm all for the positive stuff. But I also think there are a lot of people that are prioritizing motivating someone in that state of being without equipping them. Okay, so let me back up a little bit because I feel like I might have went over your headpiece. Okay, I need you to really be here right now. Okay, motivation is great in the moment. It changes, it shifts your state of being, your state of mind, your energetic state. You can go from feeling depressed to high energy. You can go from feeling low to high in a second, right? But the one thing you have to have in addition to the motivation is you have to be equipped with what to do after that. Because the challenging part is, what do you do when you don't feel like or you're not motivated to do the thing that you know you're supposed to do? So for example, I was always someone growing up as a kid that when it came to schoolwork or when it came to doing things that I necessarily did not want to do, I was the kid that if I didn't feel like doing it, I wasn't going to do it until I wanted to do it, right? So I would do my homework last minute. If I would get a paper assignment or, something where you had to write like a 5-page paper, like a 10-page paper, you get it a month in advance, 2 months in advance. I'm doing it the day before, And then what do us procrastinators always say? We work better under pressure. We work better under pressure, y'all. In case y'all didn't know that, us procrastinators, unlike y'all, we work best under pressure. So while y'all doing stuff when y'all get it, we chilling until the last day or the day before, okay? But in reality, we just lazy. We lazy. That's all it is. We don't work better under pressure. We just prefer the pressure. We don't work best. Okay? Because trust me, if I wasn't like that, I would rather get it out the way. Okay? Because being a procrastinator and only doing things when you felt like it really, really hurt me in a lot of areas as I became a grown-ass man. Okay? And that I'm still paying for in some ways. But so motivation is fantastic. So I want to be perfectly clear. I'm not anti-motivation. I'm anti-needing motivation. That's what I'm anti. And so I guess the point that I want to get across on this episode, if there's one thing that I would want you to take away, would be when you're not feeling it, when you're not in the mood, when, you're not really energetically in the moment to do something that you don't want to do, it's not a sign for you not to do it. It's not a sign that it's not for you. It's not a sign of anything. That just means that that's just a part of the deal. You see, one of the things that we got to understand when we're pursuing purpose and when we're pursuing a mission or a dream or a goal, we don't sign up for the end result. Okay. So for an example, if someone wants to lose 50 pounds, let's say you're on a weight loss journey and you want to lose 50 pounds. When you change the way you eat, when you change the way that you move and you're working out more, you're going to the gym, you're going for walks, you're making all these changes in your lifestyle, you're not signing up for the 50-pound weight loss. What you're signing up for are the mornings that you got to wake up and go to the gym, paying for a trainer, buying things at the grocery store that you normally wouldn't buy. And as you know, most of the time, the foods that are better for you cost more, so you're paying more for food. You're signing up for going to bed earlier and waking up earlier. You're signing up for possibly having soreness early on in your body because it's not used to moving. You're signing up for eating a lot of the same foods over and over again. You're signing up for boredom and redundancy. You're signing up for saying no to certain nights because maybe, they want to go out and have a drink and you're trying to stay on the straight and narrow path until you reach your goal. So you're not signing up for the 50 pounds. And this is what gets a lot of people mixed up and a lot of people messed up. And I've seen a lot of it because I've coached a lot of people in fitness and just in general. We glorify the end result so much that we overlook the process that it takes to eventually get there. We prioritize the thing that we want without prioritizing who we have to become. Okay. Hold up a second. Hold up. Can I get a hallelujah? Can I get a hallelujah? Right? We're prioritizing the money. We're prioritizing the weight loss. We're prioritizing the marriage. We're prioritizing the relationship. But we're not prioritizing who we have to become for those things that we want to want us back. You didn't hear what I said. I said, glory, can I get a hallelujah? Right? We want the thing without becoming the person that the thing wants to be associated with. And if you're relying on motivation and motivation alone to get your butt up and do what you're supposed to do, that thing is not going to respect you. Oh, you only want, think about this. Everything that God created, you guys know I'm a believer, right? I'm not going to hide that. I'm not going to force it on you, but I'm also not going to shy away from it. Okay? I'm a God-fearing man. Everything that God created is designed for relationship. That means one thing and another thing need each other in some capacity to reach their highest level, right? So for an example, a flower is beautiful. So think of your favorite flower and how beautiful it is. If you're someone that has flowers or plants in your home, I tried to be a plant dad during COVID. That did not go well at all. At all. I went and got like 6 plants. Them joints was dead, right? I just don't have it in me. That's just not me, okay? But think of like your favorite plant or flower. When you look at a flower in all of its grace and beauty, it can only be that way if it's in the right soil, if it's getting the proper sunlight, and if it's getting the right amount of water. It has to have a great relationship with the soil, a great relationship with the sun, and a great relationship with H2O. The only way for the flower to blossom to its highest capacity is through relationship. In order for your dreams and your goals to be in your possession, it has to want to be in a relationship with you. It has to want to be in a great relationship with you. So when it's seeing that you're inconsistent, when it's seeing that you're only showing up when it's convenient, when it's seeing that you only want to act right when you feel right, when it's seeing that you only want to work out so you can post on the gram, when you're telling people that you're eating a certain way, but you're really not, it doesn't want to be associated with your inconsistency. Think about a dating relationship. Would the person that you're dating want to be with someone that is living life in that way? Of course not, right? So in any relationship, both entities, both parties have to desire to want to be with one another. So if your goals and your dreams are above you, right? So they're up here. So they're requiring you to level up. It's requiring you to be somebody that is bigger than who you currently are. Your dreams and goals aren't going to lower their value and standard to meet you where you're at. You have to come up to them. They're not going to devalue themselves and drop down. You have to increase your value and go up. So if we're relying on feeling motivated to do something, if we're only relying on being happy to do something, if we're only relying on being in a good mood to do something, even though all those things are important, I want you to be happy, I want you to be in a good mood, but you're also a human being. You're not always going to want to do that. You're not always going to be in a good mood. You're not always going to be motivated. You're not always going to be excited, right? But you still got to get it done. You still got to go to the gym. You still got to record that content. You still got to write that book. You still got to study. You still got to do this stuff even when you don't want to do the stuff, because that shows character. That shows consistency. That shows that you really want it. That shows that you are willing to grow and to change and to increase your value. So the things and the people that you want to be associated with, they want to be associated with you. So that's basically when people say law of attraction, you know, sometimes it gets a little woo-woo for your boy. But basically what it is when you raise your value, when you increase you start to associate with people, places, and opportunities that are at that level. So one of the reasons, and this is kind of like an aside, when people say, ain't no good men out here, ain't no good women, you know, maybe you said it, but I know you know someone that do be saying it. What's happening is, it's not that there's no good men or good women. It's just that the kind of man or the kind of woman that they want aren't at the level that they're at. They're higher. So they're only seeing the kind of people that are at their level, not realizing that the reason that there's no good men or good women is because they haven't leveled up. So they're desiring somebody that currently is at a standard or a way of living that is above them. That doesn't mean that they're better than them. It just means they're operating differently. So the refusal of willing to increase value and to become more, they're forced to settle because like attracts like. Even if they did snatch someone from above them, right? Even if they did game them, they wouldn't keep them. Because intrinsically, they would start to feel like this person is too good for them. And when you don't know who you are and you're with someone that does, you will self-sabotage it. You will get in the way of it. Or they'll just leave you. Because again, like attracts like. And eventually you will be found out. So when we go to motivation, right? Motivation is great when you use it as a tool. When you're motivated in the moment and you have to do something that you don't want to do, or maybe even you're doing something that you do want to do and you're motivated on top of that, oh, that's game time. It's game over. But when you don't feel like it and you're not motivated and you don't have the best state of being, and you know you still have to get it done, even when you don't want to, you have to use something that's bigger than that. The granddaddy of all granddaddies is not motivation, it's inspiration. You see, motivation is a push factor. It's a push, right? People want motivation to push them to do something when they don't want to do it. I need to be motivated. I need to be motivated to do what I got to do. I need a push. I need a boost. Motivation pushes you. Inspiration pulls you. Because inspiration is a spiritual thing. It's internal. It's intrinsic. It's inside. So when something that you're serving is bigger than you, your kids, your family, your legacy, your community, et cetera, it's going to pull you to do something when you don't want to do it, because when you're looking for motivation, you're only thinking about yourself. When you are using inspiration, you're thinking about others. And the easiest way for you to do things when you don't want to do them is to always keep in the forefront of your mind that if you cave in to how you feel and you don't do it, who is going to suffer because of it? And on the contrary, if you do it, even when you don't feel like it, who's going to benefit from it? You see, motivation inherently is selfish because I need to be motivated so I can do this. It's about you. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying it's not really dense. It's like eating something. That's why it goes away, right? Think of it like this. If you had a pound of I love Doritos, by the way. I haven't had Doritos. I'm ashamed to say this. I haven't had Doritos probably since June, July of 2023. It's been a long time since I had Doritos. And if you know me, Doritos with the jalapeno cheddar cheese dip, what? Doritos was my thing. But because I've changed my lifestyle in such a dramatic way, I don't crave it at all. If I have it, it's because I want it, not because I feel like I need it. But the reason why I brought Doritos up is if you had a bowl that was a pound of Doritos and a bowl that was a pound of apples, which one weighs more? They're the same, right? Because they're each a pound. Didn't you hate that question when you were a kid? What weighs more, a pound of this or a pound of that? They're the same. Gotcha. Right? But they're the same. But how will your body process them will be different. Because Doritos have no nutritional substance or density, you can go through a pound of Doritos and still keep eating. But if you were to eat a pound of apples, you're going to feel that because there's so much nutritional value in there that it sustains for an extended period of time. So the Doritos is like motivation, and the apples are like inspiration. As soon as you're done eating the Doritos, you need more because it comes and then it goes. You're satisfied and then you want more. But with the pound of apples, because it's so dense, there's so much substance in there, you could eat a pound of apples and be good for a minute. So what I want to encourage you to do is to stop seeking Doritos and start feeding yourself apples. Literally and figuratively on the low, though. Okay, on the low. Okay. But when you're seeking motivation, you're seeking something that you constantly need in order to feel satisfied. And guess what? There's going to be a time when no one's going to answer the phone. No one's going to respond to your text. You won't have the resources to make you snap out of your state. You won't have the thing that's going to push you all the time to do what you have to do. But when you're inspired, when you're doing something that's bigger than you. You're not just getting in shape for a wedding. You're not just getting in shape so you can look how you looked in high school. You're getting in shape so you can be a better parent for your kids, so you can be a better spouse for your partner, so you have longevity, so you can walk your grandkids down the aisle, so you can play soccer and basketball with your kids and not feel like, whoo, I'm out of it, right? It's bigger than you. And yes, along the way, you're going to look like how you looked in high school. That's the cool part. You don't have to sacrifice one for the other. It's not either or, it's both and. So yes, maybe on this side of inspiration, it's not about the aesthetics 100%, but guess what? Even when it's not just about the aesthetics, when you're doing it for something bigger than you, the aesthetics come with it. It's a package deal. How cool is that? You are more willing to stick through the journey, the ups and downs, the twists and turns, the peaks and the valleys, when you're inspired. Because you know sacrifice is a part of the deal. It's a part of it. When you're doing something that you're passionate about, passion means to suffer. That's what the word means. It means to suffer. But when you're inspired to do something that's bigger than you, you know a part of the package deal. You signed on the dotted line. I am willing to endure seasons of suffering. And when you sign that contract doesn't care if you're motivated or not. Your purpose doesn't care if you're motivated or not. Your kids don't care if you're motivated or not. Your legacy does not care if you're motivated or not. It does not care. It only cares about if you showed up or not. Was it important to you that they see you be the best version of yourself? Did you show up? So, stop looking for something to push you all the time, because it's not always going to be there. It's empty calories. Start seeking things that's going to pull you. That's going to pull you to do the things when you don't feel like it, because you're serving something that's bigger than you. And when you got that, and that is your North Star, what Flip say? Game over. The game is over, cuh. The game is over. You won. You won. Because now you're not being governed by your feelings. And this is a whole different podcast. But you're not being governed by your feelings. Now, some of y'all are going to be like, Ace, you're too hardcore, Ace. No, I'm a human, Ace. I need to feel. Of course you need to feel. Don't be foolish. But there's a difference from showing emotion versus being emotional. I'm all for showing emotion. Allow yourself to feel, allow yourself to grieve, give yourself time for that. But when you're emotional, that means you're making decisions from that state of that emotion. That's what you don't want to do. It's okay to express emotion. Get it out of your system. It's okay if you're feeling sad or lonely or unhappy. It's okay. But when you're emotional, that means you're staying in that state. And that means you're making decisions and choices from that state. And that's when you start to go down the deep, dark, wrong path. How do I know? Because I got the varsity jacket. I was a 4-star letterman in living through my emotional state. I got the varsity jacket, captain of that squad. And it sucks. And I know I'm not the only one. But one of the main reasons why I was there was because a lot of the choices and decisions I was making was coming from an emotional state, because I was looking to be motivated. I'm not motivated today. I need to be happy today. I need to feel like it today. I don't feel like it today. I don't feel. How many times do you have conversations with people, especially in relationships, where someone says, I feel. Listen, feelings aren't always factual. It doesn't mean they're not real. But it doesn't mean that they're factual. This is why, and this is another aside, this is why if I have something important to say to somebody, I'm not doing it through text message. Because I don't want my emotional state and my delivery of this message to be determined by you through what I said with my thumbs. I want you to hear my tone of voice, or I want you to look me in the eye so you can see exactly how I mean what I said. Some of y'all are texting your feelings and emotions, and then someone gets upset because they don't know, they don't know the context of what you're saying. This is why you don't make not just tough decisions, but potentially permanent decisions from a state of emotion. When you're emotional, you don't do that. You just don't. So give yourself time. When you don't feel like it, acknowledge that you don't feel like it. Man, I don't feel like going to the gym today. I don't. There's nothing wrong with you acknowledging you don't feel like it. The problem is when you know you said that you were going to go and you don't do it because you don't feel like it. So what you have to do is say, hey, I don't feel like going to the gym today. I don't feel like it. But I know when I do, not if, when I do. So you're putting yourself already in the state that you're going anyway. My kids, my partner, my legacy, whatever, is going to be grateful that I did. And when you are making it about them, it's going to pull you out of that state for you to do the thing that you said that you were going to do. And I promise you this, some of the best workouts I've ever had in my life were the ones when I didn't feel like being there. Because now I had to rely on something that was bigger than me to get me through this. And when you get in that state where now you're kind of like in this flow where you're watching your principles take over, that is, now you're unstoppable because now you're living your life through principles. It's like now, like your principles have become your governor, right? That's your boundary. So when you're not motivated to do it, your principles kick in and be like, get your ass up and go. Yeah, okay, maybe you're 15 minutes later than you usually would, but you're not taking the whole day off. Get your ass up and go. You see, the principles have to kick in when the motivation dies down. And as soon as those principles kick in, it's like automatic. It's automatic. And in an episode that I'm going to do soon, I'm going to do an episode on the difference between consistency and discipline. Because I feel like we're focused so much on discipline. You got to be disciplined. You got to be disciplined. But we're not recognizing that you must first be consistent. You see, consistency is the act, right? That's what you do. Discipline is what you evolve into. You don't try to be disciplined. One of the reasons why people, their dreams and their goals become so overwhelming to them is because they're trying to be something that they're not yet. You're trying to, waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm taking a cold shower every morning, I'm weighing my food, I'm going to the gym fight. It's like, you ain't worked out in 20 years. Relax, bruh. It's going to take time. Prioritize being consistent first. How about we go to the gym once this week? How about we go to fast food one less time this week? Give yourself time, bruh. Give yourself time. But when you get to that place where you're being governed by your principles, and this goes in relationships, friendships, your dreams, your goals, your vision, everything. When you're principle driven, you won because nobody can make you go outside of that system. Why you do that? This is what I do. You see, thank you, God. This is something that just been downloaded to me, and I want to slow it down so I get it right. I don't want to rush through this. And I really need you to hear me on this. You see how my voice got deeper? I need you to hear this. When you know who you are, you also know who you're not. okay? When you're in kindergarten, in the first day, what did they normally do? They give every kid a name tag. Why? Because nobody knows who anybody is. Right? So you need a label. Because I don't know who you are. I don't know who the hell this kid is. Larry, Mary Beth. So everyone's wearing a label because no one knows who they are. But after like a week or so, the name tags come off. Why? Because everyone knows who everybody is. I know who you are now. When you live your life through principles, it's because you know who you are. What am I saying? Okay, think of it like this. When you change the way you eat, not because you want to lose weight, not because you need to go on a diet, but because this is the way of eating that is going to optimize my health, my body, my function. This is how I eat now. This is not a diet. This is how I eat. When you go to a restaurant with your friends and they're noticing the change in your eating, someone is going to say something like, man, you eat healthy. Man, you're eating clean. What kind of diet you're on? Oh, this is just how I eat. There's no diet. Whether you think it's clean or not is your perspective. This is food for me. You see, there's no label on it because I know who I am and this is how I have to eat for me to be optimized. You see, when you have an identity, the labels are removed. Man, you train hard in the gym. No, I train. Whether you think it's hard or not, that's your viewpoint. But this is how I have to train for me to be me. Whether that's hard, it's mediocre, it's novice, is not my label. That's your label. This is how I train. When you have a life of principles, the labels are now removed. This is just what you do. So when the motivation isn't there, the principles are like, hey, this is who you are. This is not what you do. So when that alarm clock goes off at 6 or 5, and you're like, man, I don't want to wake up at all right now, your principle says, this is who you are. We get up this early. When you're driving past the Chick-fil-A's or the places that, man, they're craving your name, and you say, you know what? I only eat like this once a week, but man, I really had a stressful day today. I could really use some waffle fries, and they are fire with the Polynesian sauce. Okay, shout out to Matthew. Your principles are like, no, you made a promise to yourself that Sunday or Saturday is the day that you are going to have a free day. This is who you are. Your food is already in the fridge. Go home. You see, the principles act as the governor when your emotions start to kick in. And it's not that your emotions are kicking in. It's when the emotions are seeking into becoming emotional. And your principles stop it right before it transfers and right before it becomes a state. That's when it shifts. Because your principles say, no, enough is enough. We've been this person far too long. We caved into emotions far too long. We caved into fast food far too long. We caved into being a people pleaser far too long. We caved into seeking motivation and needing something to make us do something far too long. Those games is over. We raised our identity. We raised our standards. We're not relying on motivation. We're relying on something much bigger than that. And that's purpose and inspiration. take your ass home. You got food in the fridge because this is who you are now. And guess what? You're going to drive home. And guess what? When you put your head on that pillow tonight, you're going to feel so good about yourself. Because I want to close this episode by saying this. And this is gospel. Take me to church. I want you to hear me clearly on this. This, all of this, the ethos of this pod comes down to what I'm about to say right now. This is a battle between the old you and the one you're becoming. And this battle is going to be hard because you've been the old you so much longer than you have this newer one you're becoming. Who you feed is going to determine which one grows. So every time you cave into how you feel, you are feeding into the old you. Every time you go against the promises you made yourself and no one else knows, so no one else can hold you accountable, it's just you. And every time you contradict yourself or you give yourself a way out, you are feeding the old version of you. And that one is growing roots deeper and deeper and deeper into your soul. That is going to be harder and harder and harder to pull those roots out. But the more you are willing to make the decisions that goes against how you feel and how you used to be, more often, the person who you used to be is going to shrink and the one you're becoming is going to grow. And not just grow, but grow roots, where it's going to get harder and harder and harder for you to listen to the old you, and it's going to be easier and easier and easier to listen to the new you. I love you. God bless you. I hope this served you. I hope this spoke to you. I hope while you listen to this, someone or multiple people came to mind. Feel free to share this episode to them. As always, please, if you haven't, subscribe to the pod, leave a review. We're a family. We're a community. I am your leader. I am your host. I am Ace, and this is the Third Quarter Podcast.